Patrick CC. I missed this video. Nickelodeon's Oh, I got crazy deja vu here because I remember he did a video on this motherfucker right here. But I think this is a different Nickelodeon full of weirdos, except you tell me there's another one. There's another one more disturbing in this whole except. Check this shit out, except.
The list of known predators that worked at Nickelodeon is getting longer. John Kricfalusi, creator of the legendary animated series Ren and Stimpy, was so
I never watched that shit, I won't lie to you. Even Cowardly Dog, bruh, I never watched that shit, but I know people fuck with it.
He wouldn't face consequences that he would.
What the fuck? We're not even 10 to be 12 seconds into the video, and what am I looking at, bruh?
To his twisted fantasies in his work, or just straight up confess them on camera.
One of them's a hot chick with big cans and nice legs. Who drew that? You?
She's underage, too.
Yeah, very nice.
Katie showed me one time.
I fucking just self-snitching, and he said like he normal, like it's a joke, boy.
She drew, I was at her 15th birthday party.
Oh my.
I'll tell you that backstory a little bit later.
And notice how it's like all old clips. What was motherfuckers on back in the day, bruh, that they feel like they could just say that shit openly, bruh. I feel like they did it, but motherfuckers, it wouldn't spread, or people would know about it, but it wouldn't like be like everyone knows about it at the same time. Like, you know what I'm saying, like now when someone says something, bruh, everyone knows about it right then, bruh. But here during this time, some people will miss it, some people would see it, then a smaller section would talk about it, and then, you know what I'm saying,
illusion of being a
that's how he got away with
hero
it.
In animation, that he was fighting
like the Diddy in
corporate giants to bring back the real creativity that was missing in cartoons. And to some degree, he was right. But his ego and insufferable rock star animator persona made him nearly impossible to work with. Time and time again, he was chewed up and spit out by the industry, but had enough hard-working creatives with undying loyalty to him willing to deal with his nonsense for the greater good of the creative community. But once his dark secrets were brought to light, his empire of lies began to crumble, and what resulted was one of the most disturbing confessions in children's animation history.
Well, she was too young. Freely admit that. It was a bad decision. But she was so convincing.
John Kricfalusi started to believe he was too good for one of the top animation programs in North America. In 1976, he attended Sheridan College in Oakville, Ontario. He criticized the curriculum's focus on really basic technical things over storytelling and performance. He later ranted about it, saying,
how you gonna go to a school and then critique them? Like, I understand like shit like changing up, like, I don't know, like student shit, you know what I'm saying, like with the work and shit, but motherfucker trying to act like he know better than everyone, bro.
How to draw? No. How to act? No. How to compose? No. No animation skills do you learn in animation school. At this same time, John was getting inspiration from a film archivist named Reg Hart, who would screen his vast collection of classic cartoons like Yosemite Sam, Daffy Duck, and Bugs Bunny at a nearby theater. These classics were notorious for pushing visual boundaries and playing with adult themes that would often get animators into trouble. John was instantly in love with the visual storytelling and described it as
I had to sit McFarlane's before this sick McFarlane's.
the wildest experience I ever felt, like taking acid or something.
All of a sudden I saw a cartoon called The Great Piggy Bank Robbery. It was completely different than anything I'd ever seen before, and I just...
So, is that where that comes from, bruh? I've heard that shit before, suffering succotash, but I've never known what the fuck it was, bruh.
Basically went insane. Bob Clampett's cartoons are more like what music does, what Elvis does to you, what Björk does to you. It just, makes you thrust your groin all over the place.
Reg Hart started to see that John was actually gifted. John's enthusiasm was infectious. His intelligence was clear to me, if not to his teachers. In my programs, he saw everything his teachers turned their noses up at. As Salvador Dali, Pablo Picasso, and Henri Langlois said, "It is good taste, not bad taste, which is the enemy." John's rebellious attitude and poor attendance ultimately got
iron and resin.
got him expelled from Sheridan College in 1978, and despite having no official credentials, he was able to start his career in animation after moving to Los Angeles. John Kay began as a storyboard artist on Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids, where he helped map out visual storytelling for each episode. He later transitioned into a layout artist.
It's gotta be an American show, but I ain't never heard of that shit in my life, boy.
Role, working on shows like The Tom and Jerry Comedy Show, Heathcliff, The Smurfs, and he was even sent to Taiwan to oversee a team of 15 people working on a reboot of The Jetsons. And very quickly, John realized the animation industry was a lot like what he hated.
Jetsons don't need no fucking reboots, you know what Jetsons remind me of? This thing here, boy. What a movie this is. This is a classic, boy. I actually cried in this movie, watching this movie, because it's like actually like, you know what I'm saying, I relate to everything in this movie except this thing, yo boy. What a movie. This thing is a classic, bruh. Real shit, boy.
About college. They had strict deadlines, a specific structure or formula to stick to, and were generally discouraged from taking creative risks, which made him feel like he was just ruining classic cartoons. The next year we ruined Tom and Jerry and Droopy, and a few years later I got to ruin the Jetsons. I actually tried to save it while I was working on it, but it was pretty hard because the whole thing was set up to ruin them. A new character named Orbity was there because E.T. had just hit it big a couple something years before.
I won't lie, I haven't watched E.T. I feel like I haven't watched so many like movies that people be talking about, except I haven't watched E.T. but ever.
And they wanted to make sure that the kids liked the Jetsons. Every chance I got, I'd have Astro accidentally step on his head, get him crushed under the couch, everything I could to get that thing out of the way. John...
Not even when it's on like randomly, you know, when it was a light here, said you just be random movies on a TV, on DSTV and shit, bruh. I didn't even see like a random scene or something from E.T.
I thought he was doing the network a favor. I came back waiting to be hailed as, I thought they'd have a parade waiting for me. John went and put jokes in our cartoons. He's going to be our hero. I thought there'd be a big part.
I feel like motherfuckers don't discover shit randomly anymore, except because everything that you click on and shit is like you clicking on it and you doing it, bruh. Nothing's like ever, like motherfuckers don't randomly discover shit on Trace anymore, you know what I'm saying? Shit
for me. But instead, a lot of people were mad at me for putting jokes in the show and making it lively, so I was out of a job when I got back. I didn't get fired exactly, they just didn't give me another job. Now, even though he is coming across as a little pompous, to some, John's rebellious attitude here is actually refreshing. After all, corporations are notorious for taking creative IP and milking it dry for the sake of profit, and one man in particular wanted to give John full creative freedom to unlock his maximum potential, and his name was Ralph Bakshi. But in doing that, John would expose the dark potential, and his name was
So look like a mafia reject.
Ralph Bakshi. But in doing that, John would expose the dark and disgusting thoughts inside of his mind, creating some genuinely unhinged cartoons that would come back to haunt him years later. John Kricfalusi's life changed in the early 80s when Bakshi got in contact with him, and one day I got a call from Hanna-Barbera that said, "Some guy named Ralph has been calling, wants your phone number." Ralph Bakshi was an animator who, according to John, got disgusted with the business and had retired maybe 3 or 4 years before. Ralph's creations and attitude aligned perfectly with John Kay. Ralph's work pushed right past innuendo and straight into the most controversial content you'd never be able to see on Grandma.
He was he's one of them edgy ones. You know what I'm saying? Was in them Call of Duty lobbies.
The biggest standout was the adaptation of Robert Crumb's comic called Fritz the Cat. It tackled urban decay, prostitution.
Why does shit look like something out of the Simpsons? I think like the cat from the Simpsons movie looks similar.
Crumb's comic called Fritz the Cat. It tackled urban decay, prostitution, brutal racism, and random, disturbingly sexual acts.
Gee, he's...
Was it always black people that they go after with the racism? That's
racism
crazy.
And random, disturbingly sexual acts.
What the fuck?
Gee, he's handsome.
You can help me. You must save me. By so doing, you too will be saved.
Well, I'd like to, but what can I do?
Lovely set of eyes.
They let us on TV, except?
Ah, little sweet one with your heart of gold. I know of a place where we can be alone to join our souls in sacred truth.
Fritz the Cat.
Yo, some of these writers be the weirdest people, like say they just be, because it's a movie, like say they try to like disguise it, like say. I feel like people nowadays like can see through it though. Like after, yeah, into they get on the euphoria creates on that shit.
Cat was the first animated film to achieve an X rating, which Bakshi looked at as a badge of honor. For him, animation was something that was aggressively marketed to children by the 50s and 60s, and he resented the fact that there was nothing that could inspire or entertain adults exclusively.
The problem I faced in animation was the kind of boredom that set in with the kind of repetition that I found when I came into the business in the 50s, where we all basically looked back to Disney and then looked towards children for our major market, hoping these kids would...
Even if that is a adult cartoon, I don't think it is. I think they marketing towards kids, but even if it was, that shit's still weird. Even in a adult cartoon, if fucking Family Guy did that shit, they would have done it funnier though. Even if they did the exact same shit, this type of joke, they would have done it funnier, bro.
Bring along their parents. It's not that I didn't appreciate it or enjoy drawing the character.
Joke. You know what I'm saying?
Animating, and that in itself is a wonderful art form, but it left me with no way to express my feelings or express a way of life that was important to me, or also express a sort of what people labeled as adult animation. You know, how do you discuss animation for kids over 11? So how do you try to make them get reinterested in what they loved once? And I think you'd have to talk to them directly about subject matters that animation never touched.
On the phone, Bakshi gave Chris Falusi an offer to work with him as a 50-50 partner. He accepted, and they rented a space on Ventura Boulevard above an old clothing store where they developed 6 Saturday morning cartoons and wrote a script for a film. However, John Kay later explained that they couldn't sell anything. The industry was only interested in intellectual property that already proved its worth. Anything original was too risky.
When we were doing this, there was no such
So look like a combination of Shaggy and Fred right now,
thing as an original cartoon on Saturday morning. All the cartoons on Saturday morning TV were based on pre-existing properties. They called it marquee value, which meant you could do the new adventures of Mighty Mouse, you could do the new adventures of the Jetsons. But the way the networks thought was, if you had...
Guys, I got an idea for y'all. Let's make him in frame, but let's make it angled. We snapped. We just snapped,
no
boy. They're gonna eat this up.
The kids wouldn't know who it was and they wouldn't watch it, which is crazy to me. Obviously, every character is invented at some point. Bugs Bunny had a first cartoon or something.
In retaliation, John and Ralph decided to offer jobs to animators in big studios who were tired of creating crappy reboots to try and make something with a bit more edge. They settled on a revival of the classic Mighty Mouse cartoon called Mighty Mouse: The New Adventures. This followed the tiny superhero as he saved the day from absurd villains. John suggested it stood out because it was the first series that was completely
I'm not tapped in. I never heard of this
created
either.
by cartoonists. It was written by cartoonists, all of the creative decisions were made by cartoonists, and we created all the characters. The Mighty Mouse reboot pushed the boundaries of what was considered appropriate for Saturday morning television and resembled some of what Bakshi had done with Fritz. In the episode Mighty's Wedlock Whimsy, it's implied that Gandy Goose and Sourpuss were showering together, and that Pearl Pureheart in a dream sequence has a love child with Mighty Mouse's nemesis, the cow. A Star is Milked featured a cartoon.
See what I'm saying, bro? They're just trying to get all the freaky ideas out, bro. It's like a release for them. Who is this?
Parody of Michael Jackson, whose hair catches on fire while moonwalking, a reference to his real-life Pepsi commercial incident. But
that Michael Jackson biopic, bro, was cinema. That shit was crazy. I feel like I'm not using the sons enough. But I'm smoking, so I can't do all of this shit at once, bro.
The turning point came in the episode The Littlest Tramp, after Mighty Mouse snorts crushed flower petals. During production, concerns were raised that the scene could be interpreted as drug use, which it obviously was. But the sequence had already been approved by network executives and CBS's standards and practices. When the episode aired in October of 1987, there weren't any issues, until a few months later when Donald Wildman of the American Family Association accused the episode of depicting...
His name is Wildmon. Crazy.
The group also criticized Bakshi's involvement on Mighty Mouse, alleging that CBS knowingly
I thought they said something
hired
else.
a well-known cinematographer, since Ralph had a reputation for making animated films like Fritz the Cat. The backlash caused the show to get canceled altogether, and according to John, there were plenty of other things we got away with in the cartoons that someone could have jumped on, but this flower thing was manufactured out of nothing. It was clear that John Kricfalusi was completely fed up with the industry.
I'm a cartoonist and I like to make cartoons, and I don't want anybody to tell me how to make the cartoons. I just want to make the goddamn things. But that situation doesn't exist anymore.
You're a fucking therapist.
America, it's no longer a free country.
What the fuck?
It's communist or
Kricfalusi?
and you can only make
Is that
cartoons that are political.
was that this motherfucker's last name? Did I miss that shit?
Correct, just like everything else. You can only make cars that are politically correct, and you can only make movies that are politically correct.
The only way he could continue to make his edgy material is if he started his own company. So he launched his animation studio, Spumco, with Jim Smith, Bob Camp, and Lynn Naylor, 3 key cartoonists he had worked with on Mighty Mouse and subsequent
She was the inspiration for that cartoon
projects. It was the first modern rebellion of its kind that would come out with a deliberate mission to support creator-driven animation while battling executives every step of the way. And at the time, Nickelodeon was looking for original cartoons to help launch its own animation lineup. So Kricfalusi saw an opportunity. He contacted Nickelodeon's vice president of animation, Vanessa Coffey, and pitched several ideas that other networks had already rejected, including Jimmy the Hapless Boy. But Coffey was more interested in 2 side characters from that pitch that John had been tinkering with since college, named Ren and Stimpy, a chihuahua, and a cat. In 1989, Nickelodeon gave Spunko the money to produce a pilot.
You should give me that breadwinner shit that my little brother used to watch. I know a lot of like the new age motherfuckers, like 2010, that my brother born in 2010, so I know he was watching cartoons and shit, so I know like some of them shit, that breadwinner shit. That shit was like fucking, maybe it was brain rot, it was straight brain rot, and you know sometimes brain rot be getting you, you know what I'm saying? So it had me laughing in here and there, bro, but it should give me that type of vibes. Breadwinners existing here. This thing year 2014. Yeah, my brother was watching this shit.
Pilot launching what would become the Ren and Stimpy show. Of course, the decision to launch a show created by John K. using a studio that was owned and run by John K. was an extreme gamble on a network that catered to children, and he wasted no time seeing how far he could push boundaries before the network canceled his show altogether.
I was doing the first episodes and writing them and pitching them to Vanessa Coffey. And she asked me, like, how come there's all these fart and booger jokes in there? I said, well, because kids like that stuff. She said, they do? I said, yeah, have you ever met a kid? She said, but I think it's...
That's what breadwinners was, bro. And my little brother fucked with that shit.
I don't like it. I said, well, tell you what, pretend it's Christmas every Sunday when this show is going to air. You're not going to give the kids socks and underwear. Give them what they want, candy. You know, if they like farts and boogers, doesn't matter if you like them or I like them. Let's give them what they want. So she grudgingly said, okay, now and then, just once in a while. And so we get it, and of course, kids loved it.
In the pilot, Big House Blues, Ren kisses Stimpy and tells him he loves him.
Let us join lips in one tiny sweet exchange of saliva.
While this is seemingly an innocent bit in today's climate,
Stable
this moment
Donado, boy. Stable Donado, shot for the fall.
The 80s was interpreted as promoting homosexuality. And remember...
Huh? Fuck going on here, what type of fucking cartoon this show was making, bruh? All the scenes from this cartoon have been freaky as shit so far.
Stimpy and tells him he loves him.
Let us join lips in one tiny sweet exchange of saliva.
While this is seemingly an innocent bit in today's climate, this moment in the late 80s was interpreted as promoting homosexuality. And remember, gay...
Nigga, that shit can be determined today as promoting that shit, bruh. I'm not even promoting anything, it's just freaky as fuck for a kids cartoon. Bro, what's the thing called? Brenda and Stimpy, Brenda and Stimpy. What's the thing called, bruh? Ben and Stimpy. That shit was a kid cartoon, was it? Was it a kid's cartoon, bruh? was on Children's Network. Nah, that shit crazy, boy.
Marriage wouldn't be legalized until 2008, but John Kay wasn't really showing these things to be progressive. He was more like an anarchist trying to disgust the viewer like they were watching a brutal car accident. And as a result, Nickelodeon started voicing the same concerns that every network John Kay had worked for in the last 15 years, that the material was not appropriate for a television show aimed at children. Lucky for John, the show was an instant success. The off-form stretching of the show's characters was taken
I was watching anything back in the day, boy.
Extreme, with Ren and Stimpy moving around like they were made of rubber. And artists like Lynn Naylor, Chris Riccardi, and Bill Ray made these artistic, gross close-up shots for the audience that would inspire countless cartoons for decades.
Look, I got pimples, Ren.
These gross-ups, along with the off-model animation, would be massive
Ren?
These gross
on some art shit, oh, that is fire, bruh. Like on some art shit, bruh, on some design shit, bruh. This shit look crazy, boy.
Subs, along with the off-model animation, would be massive inspirations to Nickelodeon's later hits, Rocko's Modern Life and SpongeBob SquarePants.
That's what it reminded me of, bruh. This type of shit, yo.
Looking back, it's insane that Ren and Stimpy was aired on a children's network, to the point where YouTube won't even allow me to talk about them without age restricting this video, which is why you should see the full uncensored work that when Stimpy is every episode made video on.
Yeah, my bad, bruh.
On
Get
my
your money,
Patreon, link in the description. The amount of work that went into every episode made the production labor-intensive. As John Kay put it, Ren and Stimpy is a highly choreographed performer, where the drawings, the backgrounds, the color, the music are all like actors working together. We were doing what they did in the 1940s at Warner Bros., but we're not in the 1940s anymore. There's no training ground for this. We were
Warner Bros. Been around since the 1940s. Except what movies they were making in the 1940s, bruh. Warner Bros. Movies in 1940s, except ain't no fucking way. Cause I know Disney been around for a time, boy. But I don't know where Warner Bros. When you see the police coming, Warner Bros. Casablanca. I'm not gonna know a single in here, boy. Yeah, I don't know why I even googled this shit.
Reinventing the wheel. Combine the intense production with the fact that John was a notorious perfectionist, and the result was that the episodes were constantly turned in late, ruining airing schedules. Chris Falusi said, Nickelodeon wants something for the show, I want something for the show. They're both very strong visions, and together they made for a really great show. But in pure reality, when you mix two really strong visions, it's going to take a long time to do the work, which is why from the very beginning he was missing crucial deadlines. In the very first season, episode 3 wasn't done, so Nickelodeon had to air what was supposed to be the 4th episode to give production more time to finish. The season 1 finale, called Stimpy's Invention, took over 1 year to finish, because John constantly refined everything in it to
too much of a story, except cause why I thought that shit was a bong, except. Nah, boy.
Invention took over 1 year to finish because John constantly refined everything in it to the point of ridiculousness until everything was perfect. John was so
This shit would be perfect for Adult Swim or some shit, but I won't lie to you. Like, I watched this shit while I faded, but the fact that that shit was on a children's network, that's what makes it all fucked up, bro. If it was on a different channel, except this shit would be fire, I won't lie to you.
Infamous for missing deadlines that The Simpsons even joked about it. During an awards ceremony honoring Ren and Stimpy, instead of showing a clip of the cartoon, the screen goes black with the words, "Clip not done yet."
Ren and Stimpy, season premiere.
And as if being constantly late wasn't bad enough, John would butt heads with executives for seemingly no reason other than to maintain his rock star rebel cartoonist persona he built up in his head.
Do you subscribe to the often held criticism of cartoons?
Yeah, this all full fucking weirdo though. This is the all behind this shit. I'm talking about the show that's fire, bro. This all behind it is a fucking weirdo
If a little kid
we've already established this.
A cartoon dog chainsaw a cat's head off and send it to the moon in a rocket, it will try and repeat that same thing in real life.
I hope he does.
For example,
like on some Justin Roiland and shit, except fire show, you know what I'm saying? Even Solar Opposites is underrated. I need to go. I think they're still releasing seasons of that shit. I just stopped watching it for some reason,
example,
bro.
Vanessa Coffey
I was invested in that
would
shit.
sometimes go to John and request
Oh, I think I just got caught up with college at the time.
a heartfelt episode that families might be attracted to. But instead of compromising to stay on TV, John K. would make something so stupid it would make them regret they ever asked. One of these responses for more heartfelt material was the episode Stimpy's First Fart, where Stimpy tries to find the sentient fart that he lost. It was essentially the animator's equivalent of wiping their ass with a corporate memo, and it only fed building tensions that would make it harder for everyone else to get their job done. And again, for a moment, John K. almost seems like someone to root for. He fought the corporate giants because he genuinely believed cartoons could be better and more creative. His second in command, Bob Camp, was still on John's side, but more reasonable in his approach to Nickelodeon.
And it's also realistic, sir. It's one of the many they just got. I can see where this is going. Say it's gonna get lost in the sauce, sir. We've seen it before, but we're gonna see it again.
For sure, there were things that we had to fight for, but I think that's normal, especially if you're doing edgy content. And we were doing pretty edgy content on a children's network. We weren't skirting the edge, we were skydiving off the edge. Nickelodeon had to deal with us, which wasn't always easy, and we had to deal with them, which wasn't always easy. It's like we had to kind of find a balance and figure out how to make the cartoons we wanted to make that they'd allow us to make.
By the beginning of season 2,
What the fuck was that in the background, sir? What type of drugs were you on when you came up with this shit, boy?
We had to kind of find a balance and figure out how to make the cartoons we wanted to make that they'd allow us to make.
By the beginning of season 2, Nickelodeon had reached a breaking point. They had a creator who seemed physically incapable of delivering what he promised on time, and he eventually created something so disturbing that they finally had to get rid of him. And that came after the episode Man's Best Friend, which follows Ren and Stimpy and George Liquor, who is their master that trains them to become proper pets. George is supposed to be a caricature of John K.'s father, who can be seen in the episode as extremely explosive, violent, and emotionally manipulative.
And what's the matter with you? Are you afraid of a little discipline?
Ren eventually gets fed up with George's abuse, grabs an oar, and enjoys brutally beating him, leaving Stimpy horrified of the retaliation that is inevitably coming back to them. It's honestly a really uncomfortable watch. It's easy to see that
See what I'm saying? They just want to get their thoughts out, bro.
this was not a cartoon for children, and definitely John K.'s twisted way of venting his personal vendettas against his father. As a result, Nickelodeon banned the episode from rerunning on their network ever again, and fired Chris Falusi and most of Spunko in 1992.
Fired off one episode, boy.
2. John believed he was fired because the network wanted to make Ren and Stimpy more suitable for younger viewers, while Nickelodeon argued the main issue was his
That's like getting fired during a friendly match, a preseason friendly match,
constant
boy.
failure to meet production deadlines due to his reputation as a rebel and notorious perfectionist. After losing his greatest creation and being kicked out of one of the most powerful children's networks in history, it didn't take long for Ren and Stimpy to crash and burn in 1995. Without Spunko, the animation quality declined and most of the creative force driving the show was gone.
Why in God's name did they fire the whole studio?
They fired the studio because they felt they could do it cheaper and
Creative differences.
They didn't, honestly what happened is they didn't really want to take it over. They wanted us to keep doing it,
right?
But just with them in charge.
Right. And you didn't want them in charge.
They offered to buy me out too.
Right.
Has this show interviewed every single person from this time, bro? Like, there's an interview with this motherfucker with everyone, except.
And I said no.
He was running shit back in the day, bro.
Because you had some integrity.
Well, I knew what was going to happen on the show. I knew it was going to die.
Right.
Which it did.
John K. was now relishing in his bad boy persona to the public, rallying support as this sort of anti-establishment animation rebel.
And what does Spunko do? We do cartoons, we do toys, we do all kinds of things that are bad for you but that are really fun. We're doing comic books. We have a comic book with Dark Horse. It's really bad for you. The best thing about it is it's uncensored. There are no network executives involved with it. There's nobody there to cut out your viewing pleasure. You're just gonna have a really good time. Don't tell your mom about it.
However, behind the scenes, he was broken. He felt that Ren and Stimpy was stolen from him. Billy West, who was the voice of Stimpy, stayed on the show with Nickelodeon and took over the voice of Ren as well. This deeply bothered John Kay, and he allegedly harassed Billy constantly about it.
He was an early interneter, and he whipped up this frenzy, you know, it's like...
He was an interneter, boy. I've heard that shit before in my life, boy.
He was an early interneter, and he whipped up this frenzy, you know, it's like these posters that would come and attack me all the time, and they were like disciples that would fly into the sun for the guy.
Like just mad that it's not...
Mad that
you stole his gig?
That I stole everything, and that I was like...
This is bad, I say. I've been recording for 30 minutes and me 19. Boy, nah. I need a chill, I say.
Backstabber and all this stuff, but he pushed his own self-destruct button, and anybody who's ever worked with him will tell you that.
And because of his rebellious attitude and constantly missing deadlines, there was another side of John Kay's personality that people weren't paying enough attention to.
There's always some crazy shit in the background here.
Underage girls, and once he...
It's always, why is it always, bruh?
He had full creative control. Many of the warning signs were hiding in plain sight.
Look for comic book. This is the characters. You can see.
Oh yeah, this was in the beginning. Yeah.
One of them's a hot chick with big cans and nice legs. Who drew that? You?
She's underage, too.
Yeah, very nice.
In 2002, Nickelodeon's parent company, Viacom, contacted Chris Falusi about creating a new extreme version of Ren and Stimpy for TNN/Spike TV. It was a sister network being rebranded around programming aimed at male audiences, which was a dream come true for John Kay, who despised censorship.
So it just looked like you're up to something, bruh.
He was now finally allowed to make a more uncensored version of Ren and Stimpy titled Ren and Stimpy Adult Party.
More uncensored version? What you mean more uncensored version? They said that first version was fine, they said.
Cartoon.
Like that shit was just fine for the network. They said, what you mean you're going more, boy?
Several people from the original show returned for the revival, including co-developer Jim Smith, director and writer Vincent Waller, and writer Richard Purcell. However, many former crew members who stayed with Nickelodeon, like Billy West, chose not to return. Billy said, "I knew what they were up to, and I didn't want to have anything to do with it. I don't mind the homo hijinks, but it wasn't funny. Everyone was offended."
Yo, I'm learning new terms in this video, here. First it was incidents, and now it's homo hijinks,
They
boy.
were gay, but it doesn't matter if it wasn't funny. It would have damaged my career. It was one of the worst things I ever saw. Chris Falusi called me, and I told him I wished him all the luck in the world, but I wasn't interested. And Billy's intuition was right. The show premiered in the summer of 2003 to overwhelmingly negative reviews from both critics and fans of the original series. Rob Owen of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette described it as just plain gross. They don't pay me enough to watch cartoon.
I could imagine it, and I couldn't imagine you can't even play none of the clips here, bro, because I don't even want to know what's more uncensored than the shit that he was doing.
Characters eating snot. The reliance on shock value didn't land the way John Kay had likely hoped. Even then, Chris Falusi struggled to stay on schedule and within budget. Although the network ordered 9 episodes, only 3 were completed on time, and those 3 reportedly used up the entire budget meant for the full season.
On top of being a fucking creep, he a fucking lazy fuck.
Writer Richard Purcell described the work
What the fuck?
environment
Why
as
this was on my
miserable,
screen?
probably the worst experience of my life. I had nightmares from that time for years, seriously. After Adult Party Cartoon, John was essentially blacklisted from all major names in the animation industry. He was mostly delegated to working on much smaller commercial and animation projects. In the late 2000s, he directed ads for companies like Comcast and developed a Pontiac Vibe campaign that was ultimately canceled when the car line was discontinued. He later created animated bumpers for Adult Swim, directed couch gags for The Simpsons, and he even created animated visuals for Miley Cyrus's Bangers tour, including the opening video used behind her performance of SMS. These
what an era that was, but
projects show.
What was that song? Except J's on my feet. J's on my feet.
That he could still get some work, and he was still objective.
I feel like everyone was just having more fun back then, you know what I'm saying? I feel like everyone just hates it nowadays for no reason on shit, right? Everyone just was vibing back then, boy. Like, know what I'm saying?
Talented, but no major
Also just doing shit.
network was willing to take a risk on him. As his career shifted, he stayed active online through his blog, John K. Stuff, which mainly focused on his personal animations and art. He was once again a pioneer in the online art lesson space with drawing lessons, animation breakdowns, storyboarding advice, color theory, character design tips, and explanations of what he believed made cartoons expressive. He also spent time breaking down poses, facial expressions, layouts, backgrounds, and old cartoon techniques. Now, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but a lot of things John would praise seem to be morally questionable, such as racist caricatures from earlier eras of animation, including exaggerated depictions of black characters rooted in minstrel show stereotypes. In fact,
it's always, bruh. It's always two things, bruh. Why is it always two things, except racism and fucking little children, except? What the fuck?
In fact, one of John's favorite animations is
it's gotta be like a disease, except
Coal Black and the Seven Dwarves, a cartoon wildly criticized for its racist, exaggerated features of black people. John's blog also included a recurring pattern of
they put the dice as two fronts here, boy. Boy, what? There's levels to this fucking racism shit, boy.
Exaggerated features of black people. John's blog
That's
also
crazy.
included a recurring pattern of drawings and ideas, especially involving suspiciously young-looking female characters. Many of them had high school girls left exposed or placed in aggressively sexual positions. And this wasn't just a creepy pet project John had on the side. Some of these actually appeared in material connected to his unsold project, Jimmy the Hapless Boy, while other images tied sexualized women in bikinis to the Ren and Stimpy brand. It revealed,
like, what is this for, though? Like, what's the point in all of this, bruh? Just to do it, just for fun, you know?
that this wasn't a recent development, but something that John was fixated on before he even made a successful show. And honestly, it only appeared to prove that John's depraved nature was often left unchecked by co-animators and his close peers. He had a whole collection of stylized drawings influenced by anime and furry art, alongside
I won't lie to you, I don't give a fuck, except all for these need to die, boy. On some real shit, boy. The genocide to all of them, boy. You're like weird, except there's some shit I'll never accept, except on some real shit, boy. That's disgusting, except you want to fuck an animal, boy. Like,
and portraits that sometimes altered women's bodies in exaggerated ways. In one case, Chris Falusi enlarged a woman's chest in a portrait. In another, he went as far as to draw 2 nude women for a male fan. This same pattern appeared in his George Liquor material, including a story where George invites his niece's friends to a slumber party with the girls dressed in revealing outfits and one recurring underage character, Sodi, shown as having a crush on him. Look,
who drew himself next to a cartoon, fictional, never, not even like a real, like he didn't even draw a human, he drew a cartoon. Like, think about that, boy. Think about that. This whole, they might need to study his brain, there might be some chemicals in it that we haven't heard of before.
Back, these posts made the blog feel less like an animation art.
Him and the children, that last video that this motherfucker made, but that what's that? Charlie Manson. What's that his name? Marilyn Manson.
Archive and more like a safe space where his admiration for cartoons blurred into something much more unsettling. And when multiple women came out with damning accusations against John K., suddenly it felt like we missed warning signs for decades. In 2018, Ariane Lang with BuzzFeed published an article focusing on 2 women who accused John Chris Falusi of grooming and misconduct when they were teenagers. According to the story, it all started in 1994, when 13-year-old Robin Bird sent Chris Falusi a video of herself discussing her drawings and her dream of working in animation. John replied with a letter, and his enthusiasm felt like the first real step towards making her dream a reality. But what was meant to be a short back and forth with a 13-year-old girl turned into a really troubling pen-pal relationship.
It's just a girl,
between a 39-year-old man and an underage teen. Soon, Robin began receiving boxes of toys and art supplies from John. John even helped her set up her first AOL account, through which
oh my god, bro. Nah, this layer, nah, you sending toys, bruh. Like, you know how, as a child, like, say, and you sending toys, so under the jail, boy.
She convinced her he could help her become a great artist. While the term wasn't nearly as popular in the 1990s, everything John Kay was doing resembled the predatory practice of grooming. John had already gone through the first 3.
It wasn't in law.
While the term wasn't nearly as popular in the 1990s,
oh, I thought they said it wasn't like illegal, boy. I was about to say, what the fuck?
everything John Kay was doing resembled the predatory practice of grooming. John had already gone through the first 3 steps to establish a clear intent to take advantage of Robin. He practiced victim selection by finding a way to connect with Bird, gain access by giving her an AOL account to talk directly to an animation celebrity, and built trust by showering.
I swear dogs just be barking for fun of it, etc. Just to like get shit off their chest sometimes, etc.
Her with toys and art supplies.
I was amazed that somebody 16 years old could write so well and could express their emotions so clearly. Some of the things she conveyed was that she was lonely and depressed, that nobody understood her. She used to call me Mr. Falusi.
And you said, I'm not even gonna say that. I was about to be, nah, boy. You thought, you thought that, and your next thought wasn't, I'm a guider to fulfill that potential in the rising and shit. Now you thought your brain went to, I'm saying, nah, boy.
Very cute.
The next step on the list would be to isolate Robin, and John was willing to do anything possible in order to make that happen. After 3 full years of gifts and messaging, John Kay reportedly visited his chosen victim at the trailer park where she lived in Tucson, Arizona. Robin said, "I thought I was still his little cute friend." While she was still in 11th grade, he flew the 16-year-old to Los Angeles to show her his studio and discuss her future. During that trip, in a room with a sliding glass door leading to his pool, Robin alleges that John moved to normalizing abusive behavior and desensitization by touching her in a
breaking the shit down step by step, boy. This why I don't know if he's locked up or not, bruh. How many he has to be locked up
appropriately through her clothes. In the summer of 1997, before her senior year of high school, Chris Falusi flew her to Los Angeles again, where she interned at Spumco. This was the last phase on the list of any groomer, to maintain control and establish power. What's more insane is that Robin wasn't the only underage girl Chris Falusi had successfully groomed around the same time. The second girl in the report was Katie Rice. Katie wanted to be an artist since the 4th grade after she fell in love with the original 3 Nicktoons. Doug,
it's gonna repeat the same script, bar for bar, flow for flow.
Rugrats and Ren and Stimpy. At the age of 14, Katie wrote to John and began communicating with him over AOL. He actually introduced Katie and Robin to each other over AOL, so they became internet friends with neither realizing they were both being preyed on. Getting in contact with a powerful figure in animation who was recently nominated for an Emmy Award made Katie and her parents believe she had real potential. They continued chatting online and
just nothing wrong with that. Makes sense.
Over the phone into her sophomore year.
I'll be the same way.
Of high school. In an AOL conversation, he told her not to copy and send to her friends. John said, "I want to squeeze you, and I'm crazy about you, Katie. Do I ever make you tingle?" In an email she printed and saved from a few days after she turned 15, the now 41-year-old man wrote, "I'm thinking about you very hard right now, and I have a little tickle in my chest." At the same time, she didn't fully understand the harm. John was known for being an eccentric animator.
Tickle in my chest. What the fuck? I don't think I ever said tickle to the person of opposite sex since fucking grade 2 on some real shit. Like, this motherfucker is changing the way he speaks. Like, he understands that she's a child and he's still like thinking the way he is, boy.
And to a child, this seemed like a possible twisted joke, but she did have her natural suspicions. I think this 40-year-old man is hitting on me, Katie wrote in a diary entry from between December 1995 and March of 1996, but he's never perverted.
That's not
He's also
funny,
very
except.
nice.
But he's not perverted, bruh. See, that just shows how innocent she is. She can't see it. You know what I'm
Gives me
saying?
a lot of
What's
drawing
happening?
tips, and it was here that Ren and Stimpy seemed less like a great feat of animation and more like bait that John Kay would use to lure in his victims. John and Katie met a few times in Los Angeles and continued communicating after she moved with her family to Lake Tahoe in 1996, as Katie was entering the 10th grade at age 14. They never had any physical contact, but when Katie lived in Nevada,
She was in grade 10 in 14. I was grade 12 at 18. No, I was in grade 12 at 17. And then grade 11, 16, grade 10, 15. But I was like the youngest. How the fuck she was in grade 10 at 14, bro?
she recalls several late-night phone calls during which Chris Falusi said, "Repeat after me, John's D slides into my P," while he pleasured himself. However, Katie refused. She was still young and was not sure about sex. The conversations left Rice shaken, but she trusted him. Lonely in her new school in Nevada, she viewed him as
Fucking stop my talks, yeah. Fuck. I was gonna say something too, bruh.
left Rice shaken, but she trusted him. Lonely in her new school
Fuck, that shit hurt.
in Nevada, she viewed him as her only friend.
Hold
He
on.
attended her 15th birthday party, which he later confirmed on a DVD extra for the 2003 Ren and Stimpy reboot.
Katie showed me one time, she drew, I was at her 15th birthday party. We'll tell you that backstory a little bit later.
Also, people couldn't help but notice Katie's extremely uncomfortable body language in this clip. She pinches her fingers, scratches her head, face, and arms, and always seems to have this natural reflex to lean away from him whenever he gets louder and more assertive. So by the winter of 1996, John is building two relationships with two minors while promising that he will give them a career in animation. When Robin was a junior in high school and John Kay was in his 40s, they had sex for the first time. She would then move in with Chris Falusi for the summer and intern at Spumco. After graduating high school, Robin moved in with John Kay permanently at just 17 years old.
I thought, I'm getting offered a job, I'm getting offered an internship. There's someone who can take care of me, so...
And she I won't lie, where's the parents though? Say she clearly naive. Like, you don't know that you're also this naive, say. Like, where the oh, bro.
I went with it because it's what I had always wanted and what I thought I still wanted.
Well, she was too young. Freely admit that. It was a bad decision. But she was so convincing.
With the age of consent in California being 18, this was highly illegal. But even if she were 18, all of the behavior leading up to this was insanely disgusting and highly predatory. She said, "I believed as a 16-year-old dating him, oh, the world's against us. It shouldn't be wrong for him to date me. We're cool and rebellious because we're breaking the rules of society." But tragically, all of this wasn't even the most terrifying part of the story. It was that everyone knew, but nobody seemed to care. Although allegations of sexual abuse against John Kay
Hey, bruh, it all goes like this from these days, bruh. I feel it's like crazy, boy. All this shit coming out now, bruh, is you can see the pattern, it's all the same shit, bruh.
hadn't been previously made public, his relationship with an underage girl was reportedly an open secret within the animation community. Tony Mora, who joined the studio as an intern in
On some David shit, boy.
1997 at around
But David, he on another level, bruh. He went and actually, like,
20.
I'll be keeping up with that shit every day. The Cowboys, these motherfucker, or this motherfucker, yeah. He be covering the shit, bruh. I'll be keeping up with this. This soul, yeah, is disgusting, except some real shit he needs to get. I think the dependency is on his one of the things he can get. Hopefully he does.
24 years old, recalled being surprised when he first saw Robin there. I was like, who's that little girl? In 2000, Robin briefly left Chris Falusi and moved out, though the pair later reunited. During that period, John reached out to Katie at age 18, who had recently been rejected from art school. Chris Falusi offered her work at Spumco and paid for her stay in Los Angeles. Robin and Katie were briefly at the studio at the same time. At this point, Robin was well aware of Chris Falusi's tricks, saying it seemed like John was replacing her with a younger woman. And when Robin left for good in 2000,
she's 17 by the way, or 19.
All of John's attention was directed towards Katie, who seemed like she was just going along with anything, mildly fearful in order to keep her job.
Well, Katie drew a lot of it. What do you think of the hot that Katie drew?
Pretty damn hot.
So what's it like to be a girl and sell out your own kind?
It's fun.
What the fuck? What type of question is that?
Images all over the screen.
I think it's fun.
Yeah?
Sell out your own kind, bruh.
Yes.
That never sound right. In what context would that ever sound right?
So, hey, the two of you guys together did the shower sequence, right? Mm-hmm. Why don't you tell us how that worked?
Okay.
Well, Luke would draw Ren and Stimpy, and I would draw the girls around them. And that's how it worked.
Yep.
Pretty easy.
So how did you do the Shampoo Master sequence?
Freaked out interviewer.
Well, I took care of the...
And that was all...
Like you're getting your kindly body language, etc. Like these also like lame as shit, boy.
That was all rotoscoped, right?
And the harassment allegedly got worse when she worked from Chris Falusi's home office. Katie said John was doing all sorts of bizarre stuff, waiting naked in his living room for when I let myself into his house to work in the morning, walking around with his hanging out of his pants.
This shit just get worse, boy.
Telling me that his friend's advice to get me was to just me one day. Katie also acknowledged the backlash she would receive from doubters. I know what everybody's gonna say. Why didn't you just leave? Well, because this told me when I was 13 that I was special and I don't have any self-esteem, so I believe it. However, Katie finally decided to leave after she found child on his computer. Katie said she found the images of girls she didn't
just get worse and worse, boy. You just go from 10 to 11 to 12, boy. No double entendre.
Recognized naked. She also remembered one photo in particular with a naked girl who appeared to be around 10 years old, lying on her back with her legs spread and an expression on her face that Katie described as fearful. Katie said it took her 3 attempts to report the photo she had seen on Chris Falusi's computer. Twice she began filing an online report with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, but panicked before submitting it. On the 3rd attempt, she successfully filed a report with the police at the end of 2017. Through a lawyer, John Chris Falusi officially denied all of the damning allegations against him. However, he would take to social media to write an apology letter that only made him look more guilty. Robin Bird and Katie Rice are 2 women I was very close with at one time.
He is guilty, bro. No matter how much a guilty person is, I feel like as humans we know, bro. We know when something is fishy, something feels off. Except when you're guilty, bro, and you try to spin that shit, it never seems right.
But I stupidly managed to spoil everything. An article recently came out that described some inappropriate behavior in the late 90s and early 2000s. There is some general truth in it. Some things I remember somewhat differently, some not at all. He then addresses Robin directly in the creepiest way ever, reminiscing on their good times when she was a child and he was an adult man. Your messages reminded me of other nice memories, like how we would watch Yogi Bear cartoons and you would really empathize with Boo Boo, which inspired us to write our own stories and make Boo Boo and the Man together.
This is the wrong time to say this, bruh. Yogi Bear not a fucking underrated movie if you're being real. Say this thing right here. Last time I watched this shit, I was high for edible though, so maybe that is playing into what's it called, account. You know what I'm saying? But this movie was fire, bruh. You know what I'm saying? On some just like turn your brain off shit, boy.
even attached a photo of them together, acting like this was a normal consenting adult relationship. "I am still your biggest fan, and I am truly sorry I hurt you. It was never my intention." He addressed Katie similarly, sharing memories of their past, writing, "I mistook our bond as something more than friendship, and for that, I am deeply regretful." He then addressed his family and friends, where he wrote, "Eventually, in the late 2000s, in desperation, I went to see a psychiatrist, and he diagnosed me with bipolar disorder and ADHD."
Wait, wasn't that's the kid from Scary Movie in the movie? What the fuck is this?
Combination that makes it almost impossible
What's her
to
name?
control your impulses and obsessions.
The
And of course, he
blonde
had to pat
from
himself
Scary
on the back
Movie,
at the
bruh.
end. Outside of SpongeBob and its talented team, I'm one of the
Anna.
few producers left
Anna
who's willing to
something.
break
Anna
creative
Ferris, I think.
boundaries, try new things, and allow artists to show off their own unique styles and skills. By 2018, Spunko had been closed down for over 12 years, and John was mostly irrelevant outside of small animation circles. In 2019, John K. closed financing for a new short called Cans Without Labels on Kickstarter. He shockingly raised over $130,000 on a project that took a decade to make. But when the video was finally made, the final product was heavily criticized as being either dated, lazy with computer-generated images, or ultimately a scam to make money off the remaining people who had been fooled by his phony intentions. The most frustrating part of this story is that John Kricfalusi was right about a lot of things. He was right that artists deserved more creative freedom, and networks often made safe, boring decisions that hurt great cartoons. And because of that, an entire generation of animators looked up to him, which is why you can see Ren and Stimpy inspiration on many great animations that came after it. Sometimes people are willing to deal.
Yeah, the show was fire. I said it before. The show was fire if it was on an adult network, bruh. Everything else though, like that came with it. That shit fucked up.
With someone like John K., who was extremely difficult to work with if they think deep down that they are good people with good intentions, which is why when he was exposed for being a predator, there was no reason to stand up for him and his art. And no matter what he has accomplished over his 50-year career in animation, his legacy will be remembered as just another creep at Nickelodeon who used his...
But the show looked fire from what I saw in this video. I never watched the show. But yeah, bruh. Patrick always have 5 videos like on shit that I don't know about, but I have nothing to, I have no knowledge about it. Put it in a way that makes it fire.